The independent audit of Pamela Wallin's expenses is in the hands of the Senate committee tonight, and Wallin herself is not impressed. She told reporters today that she has done nothing wrong, that it is the audit that is faulty. But at the same time, she said she'd pay back the full amount it says she owes with interest. The audit will be made public tomorrow, but CBC News has learned more of what it contains tonight. The CBC's Margo McDermott has those details. Margo.
Andrew, senators have spent the day here going over a detailed audit of Pamela Wallin's expenses, and it's serious.
I'm just going to make a statement in just a few moments.
Pamela Wallin quickly went on the offensive, calling a press conference to slam the audit that's not even public yet.
It is my view that this report is the result of a fundamentally flawed and unfair process.
Wallin has been in the hot seat for the last 6 months as Deloitte auditors sifted through her travel expenses. Their confidential report went to 2 Senate committees today, and CBC News has learned it's scathing. It details almost 400 questionable expense claims, totaling slightly more than $140,000. Most were travel expenses connected to Wallin's other jobs outside the Senate, like dinners in Toronto and in Guelph, where she was chancellor of the university from 2007 to 2011. The audit shows Wallin attempted to retroactively change her claims, and 3 of her former assistants told auditors she fiddled the expenses. But Wallin says the audit retroactively applies new 2012 rules to trips she took years ago.
The result is that travel expenses, which were approved and paid by Senate Finance in 2009, in 2010, in 2011, have, in a number of cases, now been disallowed.
Wallin is a former journalist who was appointed by Prime Minister Stephen Harper in 2009. He hotly defended her when the Senate expensive scandal first erupted.
I've looked at the numbers. Her travel costs are comparable to any parliamentarian traveling from that particular area of the country over that period of time.
Wallin has since been kicked out of the Tory caucus and now sits as an independent. She's already paid back $38,000 to cover expense claims and promises to pay whatever else she owes with interest.
I never intended to seek nor sought reimbursement for travel expenses in any situation where I did not believe such a claim was proper.
But cutting a check may not be enough.
I don't think that there's a mood in the Senate to be soft on anyone who has been found to have abused taxpayers' money.
And it's not over yet. The full Senate committee will meet here again tomorrow to decide what to do now that they've seen the audit. And they could refer the case to the RCMP, like they did with 2 other senators. Andrew?
All right. Thanks a lot, Margo. Now, our national affairs editor, Chris Hall, was the first to report some of the findings of the audit for us last night. He is with us again tonight. And Chris, what should Canadians make of Wallin's statement today?
Well, there's no mistaking her message or her intent tonight, Andrew. The first thing was to get ahead of the release of the full audit to give her side of the story. And, well, what did she say? Well, the audit was flawed. She disputes any suggestions that the auditors suggest that there was fiddling around with the expense claims on her computer or her calendar. And she said she'll repay the money out of her own pocket, even though she's done nothing wrong. So for today, at least, Andrew, she has dominated the headlines. Her story is now the focus. It may not last, though. The full audit comes out tomorrow, and clearly its findings and the fact that she's still in the news is a problem not only for her and for the Senate, but also for Stephen Harper, who appointed Pamela Wallin and 2 of the 3 other senators who are under investigation for expense problems.
And talk to us about that problem for Harper. What are the challenges ahead here?
Well, the Conservatives came to power promising Senate reform, elected senators, term limits, and so far, Stephen Harper has appointed more senators than any other Conservative prime minister. He does have a reference case to the Supreme Court on those very issues of appointing and term limits, but that won't be heard until November. In the meantime, between now and then, he has a throne speech to re-kick off the start of a new Senate agenda, or a legislative agenda, and he has a policy conference in Calgary. Expect both those events to include a strong reference to Senate reform and his determination to continue with it.
All right, Chris Hall, thanks a lot.